Papier needs to pay for the crimes committed against my bank account. However, today in a way, we are all Papier. Me, because I paid for their 2 advent calendars. For the purposes of review, if you were the Australian tax office or my boyfriend, this was a business expense. I am in fact a finance girly wearing a trinket girly as a skin suit. And you, because hopefully your attention will convert to AdSense money and I can justify making this video. Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Mia and I chat shit while I make shit. So if you like making things or just background noise while you do your dishes, hit subscribe. Today we are going to be reviewing the Papier 2025 advent calendar and judging whether it's worth the pretty hefty price tag it comes with. Some context for the uninitiated. Papier is a beloved stationery brand headquartered in the UK. They offer one of the very few stationery advent calendars available on the market. Believe me, as a stationery loving girly, I have looked. In fact, if you know of any other crafty themed advent calendars that you would want reviewed, please drop them in the comments. Now, Papier is beloved by the stationery girlies, yes, but also specifically by me. I have been a long time customer of theirs. It used to be one of my yearly rituals to buy a customized dot grid notebook for my bullet journal, later then my junk journal, my most recent one being last year's. And for full transparency, Papier has gifted me a journal once. It was an unpaid collab. They literally just sent me a 2025 planner and I've always been very honest about not using it. So as a consumer, I really like Papier, but as a content creator, they do not pay my bills. I spent my own money on these advent calendars and it was expensive. So there are 2 Papier advent calendars available. One is the one that we're reviewing today and that is the full 24-day version from Papier themselves. This retails at £140. However, if you're located in Australia like me, the only place I could order this from was Selfridges, where it was 290 AUD with a $50 shipping fee. So that's an eye-watering total of 340 Australian dollars. Once again, if you're my boyfriend or the government, this was a business purchase. There is a cheaper 12-day Papier advent calendar that is exclusively available as a collaboration through Anthropology. This is 78 USD, which is a rough conversion to 118 Australian dollars with free shipping. Obviously, this is still expensive, but it is far more accessible. I have also purchased this to review, but it hasn't arrived yet, so put a pin in that. And if you are considering purchasing a Papier advent calendar, maybe wait until we deep dive the more budget-friendly option, because that honestly might end up being better value for money. But that is enough preamble, let's get into the review. I'm not saying I wanted to be a hater, but I did want to be an advocate for responsible spending, and unfortunately I fear that's not going to happen today. Immediately, the packaging is beautiful. It just undeniably is. Everything feels like such a treat to open. The attention to detail is insane, like the color palette, the designs, even just how many different cute box types there are. So much care went into this, and well, I mean, it's a stationery advent calendar, right? And to me at least, so much of stationery is about presentation and experience, and Papier delivered. I also love the crafty potential of this. I DIY an advent calendar for my boyfriend every year, so I'm actually going to repurpose all of this packaging for that, and it's designed so well that I very easily opened each gift with no damage. In fact, out of the 24 days, there was literally only one day where I damaged the box it came in, and even that was just a really small rip at the base. Aside from that, for junk journalers or collages, for example, there's so much potential with all these gorgeously designed patterns. Very impressed. But now to talk about the goods. For my sanity, we are going to unbox and review in groups of 4 days. Thank you for your understanding. Days 1 to 4. This was such a strong beginning, it really set the bar high. First of all, the gold clips. Not only do I think that the actual designs are gorgeous, but I'm a big fan of the quality. I love that we're getting some metal, especially because I watched a few videos of reviews from previous years where there was just a fair bit of flimsy cardboard products, which these are not. Also, as a Filofax girly, these are all going to get their use. I also really liked the gratitude journal and the to-do pad. Both are a little flimsy, but they're super useful and, as I expect from Papier, aesthetically well designed. The gratitude journal in particular I think was a nice touch, especially with the variety of inner pages, because Papier is known for their journals. So again, while it is a little bit flimsy, I still think it feels like a travel-sized version of a full product in a good way. Days 5 to 8. I don't quite know how to phrase this, but something I really appreciated about this advent calendar so far was that we were getting actual products, like standalone useful things, and that trend continues. We've got a good variety of products here. The designs are very current, very trendy with the horse and lobster theme. The mini pencil case is gorgeous and is very useful for if you like to journal on the go and you don't want to carry something massive with you. The notebook is still obviously not their normal standard, but it is a bit sturdier than the gratitude journal and it has a good amount of pages. So far, I think all these products are useful and I'm definitely seeing the value, especially because I'm in Australia and over here you actually can't order anything except for notebooks from the Papier website. So this is kind of the only way that I get to try their wider range. Days 9 to 12. Over the next few days, we have a few more decorative bits, some sticky notes, tab stickers, and a stamp set. These are all fun little products, although I will say that the stamp set doesn't produce opaque stamps. I'm willing to admit that one might be a user error though. I like that we've got a few decorative bits. I'm a big sticker girly, I'm a big planner girly, I love useful little bits of paper, and I think they've balanced it really well with more solid or like, I guess, higher value items too. My favorite of this selection has to be the gorgeous pen. Again, this is really solid, a nice quality, the design is so fun, and it's black ink, which is my writing color of choice. I'm actually swapping out my Filofax pen for this one. I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but the pens are also refillable. They sell refills on their website. Days 13 to 16. calendar is pretty heavy on the pens, but that's not a bad thing because again, they're very pretty, they're very nice quality, and pens are always a really practical addition to any collection. I've personally never really bothered to buy nice ones. I have a Kmart set of fine liners that have lasted me through the years, so these are all very welcome additions to my collection. The mini notebooks are cute. Again, they're a good size to slip into your bag, also a great way to test out Papier's paper quality, which is a common question people have about them. By the way, my personal verdict for paper quality is that it's a little thin. It's great for junk journaling, but for bullet journaling or writing, there can be a little bit of ghosting. Honestly, these journals probably won't get their use with me, but they will be good to re-gift. They are very cute. I also do have to say, and this is a matter of personal preference, but I like that there's not a super Christmassy theme to all of these products, so they're actually going to get their use year round. Days 17 to 20. Hypercritical, I would say that this advent calendar started out really strong and it has tapered off a little bit. But again, I think that's probably personal preference. The products I'm most interested in just all happen to be at the beginning. We are definitely getting a comprehensive coverage of what Papier has to offer. I know I also just said that I like how this calendar hasn't felt too Christmassy, but I do think that the thank you cards are a really nice touch. They make a lot of sense, obviously, given the season, and the daily agenda pad and highlighters are also just very useful additions to a stationery collection. Day 21 to 24. Honestly, the stickers are one of my favorite days. They're so unbelievably cute and good value. Like, I'm glad they didn't do this, but there is such a variety in designs that they probably could have got away with splitting them over a few days. These are an instant add to planner. You guys are gonna get sick of seeing them. I'm not sorry. Honestly, I wish there had been more stickers. The card tabs, however, literally just cardboard. Like, use them once and they're kind of done. So not the biggest fan of those, but that is 1 out of 24 days that disappointed me, which is a great hit rate. The leather bookmark is really pretty, really nice quality again. I'll probably be gifting that one out to someone. And our last gift is the weekly planner. While not the prettiest, if I'm being honest, if I were organizing this calendar, I maybe would have swapped this for the gratitude journal or one of the metal bookmarks just for that final wow factor. However, I do think this is a really practical and useful desk item. I'm probably gonna add it to my desk setup just so I can have any important daily callouts easily visible next to my computer. So yeah, definitely like the product. I just don't know that it was the strongest gift to finish on, but that's me being nitpicky. Final thoughts. Obviously, I loved this. It's beautiful. I've got so many gorgeous new items to add to my collection. And for an advent calendar especially, where honestly, I usually just find that they're a bit shit and the products are useless and they're marked up for the sake of it being Christmas, I guess. This advent calendar was a delight. However, it was also expensive. Like, I monetize my stationery content. I bought this to review, but I was still very much like, in this economy, that's a lot. So it's really hard to decide if I think this is worth it. For the value of the products you get in direct comparison to how much they cost on the Papier site, sure, it's definitely a saving. But at the same time, it was still $330. Ultimately, I think you have to decide for yourself. As a gift, 100%, I think this is fabulous if you can afford it. The packaging alone makes this such a fun experience to open, and there are so many great items. As a treat yourself, again, I suppose it really depends on your financial situation. I don't know that I could have justified it outside of for the purpose of reviewing it, but again, that's because of the economy we live in, not necessarily the overall item value. I think my final verdict is stationery is expensive, packaging is expensive. These products are gorgeous, they're well designed, and most of them are really, really nice quality too. So the price tag is not undeserved. However, at the end of the day, it is still expensive. So if you can't comfortably afford it, give it a skip and don't think twice about it. This is not a must-have by any means. A lot of the products can be bought individually or as part of gift sets if there is something specific you want. Admittedly, not in the exact advent calendar design, a lot of them are exclusives, but they do offer very similar things. And remember, I have also purchased the 12-day Papier advent calendar, and that one comes in well under half the price. So once it arrives, I will do a full review of that. Okay, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you would purchase this yourself or what crafty advent calendars you have your eye on. Depending on how well these videos do, I might test out some other ones that I've seen around but haven't seen any decent reviews for. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me.